long before the desert learned to whisper its secrets to the wind, before caravans traced their paths like veins across golden sand. There stood the radiant kingdom of Zahram, crowned by domes of turquoise and spires of ivory. At its heart rose a palace so luminous at dawn that birds mistook it for the sky itself. Within those perfumed halls lived Princess Jasmine. She was the only child of Sultan Karim al-Rashid, a ruler loved by his people and feared by rival kings. Jasmine had been born beneath a falling star, and the court astrologers had bowed low, murmuring of destiny and storms yet to come. From her earliest days, Jasmine was unlike the other princesses sung about in poetry. She did not delight in mirrors. She did not long for jewels. She did not dream of marriage. Instead, she listened. She listened to the wind curling around the palace balconies. She listened to servants speaking in half-whispers about hunger in the outer districts. She listened to the silence that followed. Laughter when rules pressed too tightly on living hearts. From her high window, Jasmine watched the city every night. Zahram was beautiful, but beauty she knew could lie by day. The markets overflowed with silk, spice, and gold. By night, shadows gathered where laws did not reach. Jasmine saw children sleeping beneath arches meant for music, and women trading heirlooms for bread. Yet in the palace, all was order. Too much order. Her father loved her fiercely, but fear ruled his love. Zahram was surrounded by enemies, and tradition demanded that Jasmine be protected, kept hidden, preserved like a rare flower behind glass. You will rule one day, her father said gently, but only if you survive to do so. So guards followed her everywhere. Walls surrounded her choices. And freedom became a word spoken only in stories. Jasmine smiled when expected. She bowed when required. And inside, a storm learned patience on Jasmine's 18th birthday. The palace filled with celebration, but beneath the music lay iron. The law of succession was announced before the court. Jasmine must marry within 1 year. The words echoed like a prison gate slamming shut. She stood beside her father as nobles applauded, her face calm, her heart burning. That night, Jasmine confronted the Sultan beneath the moonlit arches of the inner garden. Why must I be traded like land? She asked quietly. Her father's voice trembled. Because the council fears a woman ruling alone, because kings will test us. Because tradition is a cage, Jasmine finished. Silence fell between them. I will not marry a stranger. For peace, she said. I will not surrender my life to soothe fearful men. The Sultan turned away, older than he had ever seemed. Then Zahram may burn. Jasmine realized then that love could be sincere and still harmful. That night, she made a decision no princess before her had dared do it. She would leave the palace not forever, not in defeat, but to see the truth of her kingdom with her own eyes. Disguised in plain robes, Jasmine slipped beyond the palace walls before dawn, her heart pounding like a drum of war. The city smelled different at ground level, sweat, smoke, fear. Hope. No one bowed to her. No one feared her. No one knew her name. For the first time, Jasmine was free and invisible. She wandered the markets, learning how merchants bribed guards, how laws bent for gold. She shared bread with beggars who spoke of taxes too heavy to survive. She listened to mothers who prayed not for riches, but for mercy. And there, in the shadow of a crumbling minaret, she met Amir. He was a street cartographer, a mapmaker of places no ruler cared to record. Alleyways, tunnels, forgotten wells. He charted the living city, not the ceremonial one. You walk like someone unaccustomed to dust, he said, amused, and you speak like someone unafraid of consequences. Jasmine replied. They talked for hours. Amir did not flatter her. He did not fear her opinions. He challenged her, questioned her ideas of justice and power. When she spoke of ruling kindly, he laughed softly. Kindness without understanding is just decoration, he said. The words struck deeper than any insult. Jasmine returned to the palace before sunrise, but she was no longer the same girl who had left. While Jasmine learned the truth of Zahram, another learned of her absence. Vizier Rashad, the Sultan's most trusted advisor, had waited years for weakness. He was brilliant. He was patient. And he despised the idea of a woman ruling unbound, using whispers and forged evidence. Rashad stirred unrest, blaming shortages and unrest on the Sultan's soft heart and Jasmine's defiance. When Jasmine disappeared again and again, the vizier acted. He accused her of conspiring with criminals. He urged the council to strip her claim. He promised stability through control. By the time Jasmine returned openly to the palace, Zahram was already trembling. Her father looked at her, with fear not of her, but for her. You have enemies now, he warned. Jasmine straightened. Then it is time I stopped hiding. The breaking point came during the Festival of Moons. Vizier Rashad attempted a coup, seizing the gates and imprisoning the Sultan. But Zahram had changed. The people Jasmine had listened to, the vendors, beggars, guards rose not for gold, but for truth. Amir's maps guided loyalists through secret passages. Women blocked soldiers with unarmed defiance. The city itself fought back. Jasmine stood before the council, her voice steady. I do not ask for power because I was born royal, she declared. I ask because I have walked your streets. I have eaten your bread. I have heard your fears. Rashad was exposed. The Sultan was freed. And the council shaken bowed not to tradition, but to change. Jasmine did not marry to rule. She rewrote the law. She became Sultana Jasmine of Zahram, ruling alongside advisors chosen for wisdom, not lineage. Opened palace gates weekly. She abolished silent punishments. She trained girls and boys alike in leadership. And Amir? He did not become king. He became her equal, walking beside her. Never above, never behind. Zahram flourished, not because it was perfect, but because it listened. And when travelers spoke of Zahram in distant lands, they did not speak first of its gold or towers. They spoke of a ruler who had once been caged and chose the sky. At night, Jasmine still stood on the balcony. But now the city looked back at her. And she smiled not as a princess, but as a woman who had earned her crown.